We're discussing everything from the sublime to the ridiculous. We make the sublime clear. We make the ridiculous make sense. We have special guests who are exciting, interesting, fascinating, knowledgeable, and I might add, thought-provoking. Here on the Love Power Show. Call somebody every Sunday from 2 to 3. If you want to grab a line at 327-3400 or get on the line at 327-2500.
The only line we got is 2500
All right.
today.
I repeat, 901-327-2500. Debating the issues, taking positions, defining and defending those positions, offering analysis, presenting solutions to problems that the African-American community faces. And we provide leadership. Yes, I said leadership. And we are thought-provoking as well. In the studio with me today, to my right, Jeffrey Steele, the background in sociology and history, I might add.
How's the audience doing today?
Fantastic. Yeah, Talut El-Amin with a ton of experience, thought-provoking. Lonnie Simmons with a historical background as well. And we're expecting Omar Baruti in just a few minutes, and we know his background: insurance, housing, prison ministry. And there's one more that he does. Insurance, housing, prison ministry. I can't think of the other one, but anyway, let's go forward. Now, Dr. James Small may be calling in from Memphis Productions. They're going to be doing that on Saturday at the Martin Luther King Center. So clear your calendar out for this date, Saturday, August 22nd, as the Memphis Productions. Professor James Small, featured in best-selling film Hidden Colors 2 and upcoming Hidden Colors 4. On August 22nd, the topic of discussion will be the war on blacks in America, combated by rebuilding black families. They will be discussing issues such as I am Darius Stewart, I am Sandra Bland, I am Sam DuBose, I am Trayvon Martin, I am Charleston, the Charleston Nine, and Mike Brown at the Martin Luther King Labor Center, Beale Street and Danny Thomas. Doors open at 4. Purchase your tickets, $15 and $20 at the door. Make this date mandatory as if it were a work day, August 22nd. To hear the lectures you will hear in the city of Memphis. See you there, they say. Beloved, peace. On August 20th, Thursday, doors opening at 5, event starting at 6. Minister Farrakhan speaks at the Memphis Cannon Center. And today we are continuing to examine from the book named Police Brutality, an anthology edited by Jill Nelson, and some quotes from other writers and authors. I want to go first to you, Jeffrey, around that way. And let me add this before we really get deep into our topic of discussion. Isaac, they may view us while they listen on Ustream. Click on Watch Live WMQM 1600 AM. Is that right, Isaac?
That's correct.
All right, so do that if you will, and we will go right into our subject matter, and we will do what we say we do. Is that right?
That's right.
Thank you, Brother Talut. Is that right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Lonnie?
That's right.
Let me hear you loud and clear. Yes, sir. Jeffrey, how about this notion? The notion that the black male is a predator. It's so historically rooted in the American consciousness that many people have come to accept the brutalization and murder of citizens by police as an acceptable method of law enforcement. This assumption that black men are the bad guys, and if the police kill someone of our people, then they must have done something wrong. This attitude is ingrained since slavery and is nurtured and manipulated by the police, who are quick to release the prior arrest record or medical records of their victims as if getting a speeding ticket or smoking weed or being mentally ill justifies killing our people, African Americans. And let me announce that Omar Baruta is with us right here, live and live in color. And when you finish, I want to do a switcheroo and go to Omar and get his take on number 2. We have, Talut, 28 questions. So we're going to have to move quickly, but we'll take our time and do a thorough job as we usually do. Is that right? Okay, all right. Jeffrey?
Well, what we see here, this is really what Brother Red just explained. This is, if you don't understand that this is where they get their foundation or their justification to treat us as if we're less than human, that is what he just explained. You see, because they have to point fingers or blame us or somehow make us say that we're the reason why that they're able, or we're the reason why them taking our lives is justified. And this is just dehumanization. They have to dehumanize us to treat us subhuman, and this is what we see happens. They dehumanize us first. That is the very first thing. So, and that's what they show us on the media. And whatever they show us on the media, they're trying to paint a picture to where it's okay, and that the general consensus is that, well, this person that's laying down on the street or laying down in the grass, already dead with his handcuffed, with police officers standing above him, somehow he did something to where he deserved this treatment or deserved to lose his life, when really, in the cases of Sandra Bland or the young man who got pulled over in Ohio, Brother Du Bois, of course well,
they were checking his license, this particular officer was, and he didn't have him with him, and he asked the officer just to make the call, but instead the officer murdered our brother Du Bois.
Absolutely, and then also that because they think that we're subhuman or that they try to dehumanize us, this, in their mind, in their psyche, gives them the authority and the self-justification to treat us however they want, which is literally unjust.
Okay, I forgot to mention that we're talking about police brutality, but we're talking about killer cops as in white supremacists, white people murdering African Americans. So I want us to be specifically clear as it pertains to the they and the us. I tell you what, Talut, let's continue. Give us your take while Brother Omar makes the adjustment.
Yes. Well, we have to understand that these killings aren't new.
Yes.
It's been going on for centuries. Okay, we have to be clear about that. We've always lived among psychopaths. Okay, and that's what the police primarily is. They hire people like that. Okay, they actually seek out psychopathic Caucasian boys primarily, because you can't have a conscience and do the things that they are doing. Okay, so it's two sides to that coin. One is, yes, the media dehumanize us, but they have a force that is psychopathic. Okay, so the two meet. And when the two meet, death occurs. And individuals involved walks away. Because society has already, as Jeffrey said, demonized us, our young people and our men and women. So we can't walk around in a rose garden frame of mind as if though nothing is wrong, especially in Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee have some of the slowest thinking people in the world. I mean, around the whole world. They are very, very slow. Something happens in California, it takes about 5 years before Memphians get it. And that's just a reality, you know. And so, but in Memphis, our people are walking around in little rose gardens, as my mother used to say, with rose-colored glasses on. Okay, they're thinking everything
You can't
is
see a
fine.
thing.
Huh?
Can't see a thing.
Can't see a thing. and the highest number of police killings in the United States happened right here in Memphis. Okay? The most brutality is right here in Memphis, Tennessee. The most corrupt police officers are right here in Memphis, Tennessee. The most corrupt politicians are here. Okay? The most homicides are here. This is a terrible place to live in. And we're doing nothing about it. But we have all the power. But we won't do a thing about it.
Right. Okay. Lonnie, Brother Talut is suggesting that African Americans, specifically men, and I've heard him call on African American men on several occasions on this show, have to do something about it. I'm going to throw my take in on it, and that is not going to change until we do something about it ourselves. I want to ask you.
Speaker.
Yes, go ahead, caller.
I want to holler at Isaac.
You want to holler at Isaac?
Can I get him on?
Look here. Is it true, Lonnie, that most white people believe that there is no systemic problem in the police department but just a few rotten apples? Is it your assessment, since you've been looking at this thing for a long time, that many, if not all, police officers, white supremacists, KKK, and they join the police department specifically? And while you're thinking about it and answering that question, let's think about the early 1700s and the way in which that process went with the lynching and the killing and the mobs to kill and murder African Americans, specifically.
You know, my opinion on that.
Let me get this call. Hold it right there.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the Love House Show.
Brother Dolly.
Brother Fodali, go ahead. Did you catch any of the first part of the show? Then we'll go to line.
Okay.
Give us your take on it.
I didn't hear it. You're talking about police brutality?
Yes, give us your take on it.
Okay. Police brutality is police terror. It's another exercise of white terror, and often exercised by people who look just like us, who are neo-colonial agents, mayors of our cities, and police chiefs, such as in Memphis, A.C. Warden and Tony Armstrong.
Okay.
And it's under their administration that we often see the greatest kinds of police terror. In the last couple of years, more than 28 people have been killed by the police, 28 unarmed people killed by Memphis police. There's no other definition other than to say that it's terror. And this terror has been perpetuated from us, and also in other forms, in other words, leads to greater mass incarceration of the black community. And I want to say that Amy Wyrick and Mark Luttrow and the police and the sheriff attempt to perpetuate longer sentences for us. This is also part of the white terror operation to keep us under the arm of the powers that still exist. But it's white power still, because we have not had a revolution, we have not overthrown any system, and we are seeing people operate in the same fashion that they've always operated.
Okay.
Police has a history of terrorizing Africans in the United States.
Okay. Thank you for your call, Brother Fodali Bowl, everybody.
All right.
Okay. I want to go back to you, Lonnie. Excuse me for making that little mishap. This is I'm new at this, so we'll need a minute to make the adjustment. But things should be better. In terms of your response to that question, what basically I heard Fodali say was basically the same thing that Talut said, essentially. And so, going back to the question, is it true that most white people, and if you want to, feel like to, put all that together, Talut, your statement, and Brother Fodali, that white people privilege don't see a systemic problem. What we heard was galvanized into something systematic, just a few bad apples. And the essence of my question was, in your assessment, going back to the 1700s and the pateroles and all that, white supremacists, KKK, most if not all, joined the police department, this is my analysis, specifically to murder black people.
And you know,
Help us out.
you know, if we look at the pattern and we go back to that history of the Civil War, if we use the Civil War as a reference point prior to slavery and after the emancipation, and we look at the treatment that was done towards the African Americans and the natives, it was, we can look at it and analyze their reasoning, right? We can say, specifically after the Civil War, when the South lost, and when we look at the context of who was all involved in the battle, yeah, the North fought, but they forget to tell the story about the colored troops as well. So, you know, it's a natural hatred towards those that stood up in the war. Okay, so when we look at what happened after the Civil War, you know, think about it. We got emancipated Negroes all throughout the South. We just were defeated, speaking in the South, elite white colonists, however you want to title them.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's a psyche of fear. We just lost this war to these who we call subhuman, 3/5 human, half beast, half man, that were not created in the image of God. So with that psyche, what I see is a root of either self-hatred amongst themselves, or because of the knowledge that they have about our origins and about themselves that we don't have, or they're either ignorant of that knowledge and just are continuing the tradition that they're taught of the self-hatred. So if we look, for example, we talk about what's her name, Jill Nelson, the Police Brutality.
Yeah,
and
edited by Jill Nelson.
Okay, edited. Talking about the treatment that has been shown in history that the watchmen, you know, and now what we call today police officers. If we break it all the way down to the anatomy, I believe, my opinion,
Okay.
is the fear of the natural law that our genes are dominant.
Okay.
Meaning the colored people of the land genes are dominant and the white genes are recessive. So psychologically, if you know that another group of people are dominated by natural laws, then you know that draws fear, and everything after that is based on.
I see. So you're saying that there's a fear on that side,
Life.
fear of the white supremacists, as in white people.
Yes.
And you agree with Noam Chomsky that one day the black man will rise up and do to this group of people that they've done to African Americans. We have a caller on the line. Welcome to the Love Power Show, caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brother Booker, thanks for taking my call.
Anytime, brother. Booker, anytime.
Okay, well, the opinion for the day is that we're under three laws: the laws for Caucasians, the laws for us, and the laws for the animal. George Zimmerman had killed a dog that night. He wouldn't have been able to go home and go to sleep, do you think? Thinking Michael Vick.
Right. True.
They love animals now. They get the animals, the dogs, fish all in the mouth and everything. They watch on TV, but that's three laws. And they also held white convicts quite a bit different. Remember when Dylan was arrested, how one dragged him out his head, you know, and he was easily eating in the car, as opposed to our people, how they even pregnant out women now, man. He choking out women out, dragging them around. You know, that's got to be the mentality of the 16, 17, 1800s. We've been playing for first-class citizenship ever since we got here. We ain't first-class citizens. We're prepared to change laws and things like that. If you would, you wouldn't have to go through all this stuff through Congress, the Senate, and the House, and all this kind of stuff. You know, the redo laws and stuff that we were. We still fighting the struggle still on, man.
Okay.
And when we're so compassionate people, you know, in South Carolina, we just a God-fearing, God-loving people, you know. The people in the church even forgave Dylan Roof before he was convicted. That's just the way we are. And if Dylan Roof, if a black person had gone into a white church like that, he wouldn't have been able to get to the steps. You know what I mean? That's just who we are. We take everything. We take the low class whites. They can stay in the hood any way they want to stay. And they not dogged out about it.
All right. Thank you for calling, Brother Omar. We got your point.
Yes, sir.
All right, anytime. All right. Omar, police misconduct toward people of color. Is it true that it's the cornerstone of the perpetuation of racism and white privilege? And you heard what Omar Booker just said. He said something about 3 types of laws, and that the system of white supremacy values animals relative to talking about African Americans. What's your take on it?
If Michael Brown had been an animal, they would have rushed the ambulance to the scene to give him any kind of life support that was available to the human family. But because Michael Brown was black, he fell under the law that brother just spoke of. We have to understand who we're dealing with, and we keep thinking that everybody is the same. If you read their history, they have a history that goes back 6,000 years. And in their own history, they admit in their own writing about the people they killed that looked just like them. They've had 10-year war, they even had a 100-year war where they were killing each other. And right now they're practicing genocide against black people, right now. When they let those 4 million people out of slavery, black people out of slavery, they had no use for them. And so immediately they started practicing genocide. And right now the 2 best weapons for genocide right now are AIDS and the school to prison pipeline. And right now they're doing a very good job. If you look at the country of Australia, for example, I'm going to be real short with this. When white people got there, they set up their country as a penal colony for all the criminals that they got out of Britain. And when they got there, they estimate somewhere around 10 million Aborigines, or they call themselves blackfellows, lived on that continent. Here we are today. Australia has less than 800,000 black people there. And with 800,000, they make up 3% of the population, but they make 28% of the prison population in that country. So what white people do around the world does not change. They love blood. That's why when you read the history of the Romans, they were throwing human beings at wild animals, at lions in an amphitheater, because they enjoyed the excitement of seeing blood come out of a human being who was suffering. And right now they replace it now with the World Wrestling Federation, where they can get into a ring and pretend like they're killing each other. They love football, but they love it when you can knock somebody out, they bleed, you take them off the field on a stretcher. They love that kind of action. They love to see people suffering, they love to see them dying. They go to war just so they can kill. Some people join the army so they can go and kill people. This is who they are.
I understand. So that's comparable to members who join the police department, is that right?
The same thing. There is no difference.
Right. So
they love to see humans suffering. That's who they are.
Right. So the question that comes to my mind, Omar, when you raise that, what makes African Americans think that this group of people is going to do something, going to free them, going to save them, without taking a critical look at the historical situation? Omar.
What they tell us is, don't think about the past. That was yesterday. We know we lynched you yesterday. We even lynched you with your military uniform on. We lynched your women. We killed your babies. We raped your family. That was yesterday. That was them. I'm not them. I'm different. I'm changed. I'm the modernized white man. Look, it's the same white man. Now they got a legal police force that will do the dirt that they used to do themselves. When you look at some of those pictures of lynching, these were people that were dressed in their Sunday best, with shirts and ties. Children that were having a picnic while somebody was being roasted over a fire. They were having it was entertainment for them to see us die like that. They have not changed. They want us to die. Like the brother just said, that man at that roof didn't ask for forgiveness. We so used to people being like us, we want to forgive them because we know they don't know what they're doing. Hell, they know exactly what they do. They had 6,000 years of practice.
Okay. Omar Booker just said that we're God-loving, God-fearing, and forgiving. Omar is what he just said.
So there's a time though.
There's a time for that.
So there's a time for it, and this is not the time.
This is not the time.
We at war.
Okay. Here's the question for all of us. And you go first, Omar. Fear. This is coming from one of the writers in Police Brutality, edited by Jill Nelson. And we'll go around the table. Fear, indifference, paranoia, passivity, rage, alienation, and violence are a few of the byproducts of living in a society in which we are, as an African American, victims of or silent partners in, keyword silent, especially silent partners, Talut, in the abusive, brutal, and racist behavior by police. Omar, Jeffrey, and then Talut, and around the table.
It's changing. It's changing.
It's changing.
Just a day or two ago, a police officer in Birmingham, Alabama, was pursuing a young man who he was trying to give a speeding ticket to. And the young man pulled into a parking lot in a shopping center. And when the police got out, the young man immediately got out of his car, and the police walked up to him, and then they got into a heated argument, and the young man hit the police and knocked him out, cold. And when he knocked him out, he took his pistol and whooped him while he was laying on the ground unconscious. The people around him that were spectators didn't offer the police any help and didn't even call for emergency help. And on Facebook and social media, they said F the police. And when they asked the young man, why'd you do that? He said, I'm sick of police mistreating black folk when they put them over for tickets. And so he was trying to say, I'm going to take a stand. Now, they arrested him and charged him with attempted murder. But he had the police gun and whipping him with his gun. Hell, it wasn't no attempted murder. He was giving them a butt whipping. Which a lot of them need.
Jeffrey.
We definitely are coming to a point to where you see around the world, I believe you hear, I went back and I heard an old Tupac Shakur interview. Pretty much the gist of it was saying it's only so far you can continue to push a people before they realize that they have to change their relationship and the way that they react to you, to the ones who are oppressing them. And so right now what we're seeing, I just want to correlate something here. One of the things that they say that made the civil rights movement so successful was that it got national and even international attention through the media. You see, the media was showing Dr. King marches. They were in Selma, and you can even now today still go on the internet and find video footage of this. But you see, this is where that movement gained its empathy. And you see, whenever you have a movement or you have a group of people who are trying to achieve a certain goal, you have to have empathy by a mass amount of people. And so back then, when they covered it through the media, they were able to grab that empathy from the nation, and that movement had, in that sense, back then had progress. You see, that's what's going on now. You see, even though the media realized back then they made a mistake by covering it and showing it to the world, for 60 years they were able to cover up. They were able to cover up their mistreatments of people around the world because they realized in the 60s they made a mistake. Well, you see what you see going on right now that we have these devices in our hands with the camera, in our hands, and we can go to YouTube and post these videos, even though ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox doesn't want to cover it. Now they have to cover it because we're putting it out there. And this is what's gaining the empathy, and this is what is going to cause the people to start standing up against police brutality.